So we're doing something special this week, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're going to talk about. I just decided to give
You
us
know those
some
parts of the
structure to
podcast where
conversation.
people are like, why are they not talking about the episode? Just that. I'm going to call it Wrestler Review After Dark. Is that what every
we're not-
single
we're
show
not-
in the 90s that was
We're not
called?
doing that at all.
It was just a talk show at 1 a.m. where it was just two guys like, hey, these guys both have sexual assault charges against them in 1992, which means they did something fucking crazy.
Yeah, that means that they did something
After
specifically to a. They did something to a cop's kid in front of the cop. That's the only time they would be like, someone better arrest this celebrity. It's like, why? It's like he went to a church and he took a shit in front of all of the kids while jacking off. And
You know
it's
what
like,
I just
well,
thought
wait,
about?
all of the kids? Yeah, go ahead.
Remember when it was like, hey, Bill Cosby may be actively sexually assaulting people, but Eddie Murphy, like, I think likes trans women.
I mean, I'll go you one step better. I remember being told in 2007.
Hugh Grant too, and they were like, explain to us why you like that when you have Elizabeth Hurley, and he had to be like,
it's actually
First of all, Hugh Grant.
So don't worry about it.
Hugh Grant, I believe, was not even a trans sex worker. I believe Hugh Grant was just a sex worker, and everyone was
Straight
like,
up.
why are you having sex with a filthy hooer when you've got a hot bitch who played the devil near Brendan Fraser at home? And Hugh Grant's
Should
answer
probably
was
suck
like,
the gas out of a fucking tank.
that's what he said. He said that to Jay Leno. He's like, have you ever had
That was
someone
huge for Leno.
literally suck
Leno
a
was
golf ball
losing
through a garden
until that
hose?
interview.
That's the interview that made him, baby, because all that Jay Leno did was the early 90s are a crazy time. By the way, our topic to discuss today, but Dylan refused to listen, was Hulk Hogan joining the NWO, because basically our just research is super late. We just had a frantic week, but we wanted to give you guys an episode anyway. And we want to try out a format where we just chat.
Oh yeah, less work.
Less work. So
It's like how podcasts where we've totally talked about this, but podcasts where people just fucking shoot the shit have come back
my
in
God,
a big
they were
way
so much
because
better.
like, hey,
No
I
one
spent
talks about that.
$5,000 on a camera rig, and me and my buddies bulk tape this or whatever. Instead of us, where it's like, where is Dylan? Is he in his house or in his mom's house?
yeah,
Will we ever
let's-
escape COVID?
I
No.
like that COVID gave us many things, but one of the big things they gave us was podcasts suddenly, like, full TV shows, and like, yeah. And they're like, we're that now. And it's like, well, why? And it's like, I don't know. Definitely doesn't make more people want to listen. I'll tell you that much. But for some reason, they want
Oh,
to
yeah.
watch people. As long as the set is definitely just the guest bedroom of everyone's apartment. I don't know if you guys know this, but all of those podcast sets are just the guest bedroom of all of their apartments.
Our mutual friend Bobby Mayer, who's got a very good podcast called The Best
What year is it?
I think.
Yeah,
What year is it? Yeah.
Yeah.
What they do is they talk about a specific year in history and give details of it, but also get wildly off topic. Essentially this, but like they do it in a studio and all these fun things. But he was saying basically every single podcast is now videotaped in what looks like an office that you just started getting drunk at.
Yeah, that's exactly it. It's basically like, this company's failing. We are just using the money. What I like about human beings is this is how you know a thing will be around for a long time. When human beings start going like, it's a game changer. It changes everything. And then it's like, how you know it's going to be around for a while is they take that game changer and be like, now make that thing exactly the way everything else is. What? Why? Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. Which brings us to Hulk Hogan
We're bold because we
joining
still
the
look
NWO. Yeah, exactly. Now, listen, Dylan,
How
where
am I
were
the
you-
one? I love being the off-topic one because you're trying to wrangle me, and I'm letting the
I love
dog
it.
out the leash. You know what I mean? Like I'm you now.
Well, you got a big dick and you're cool? No, incorrect.
Small, and it's fine.
Yeah. Dylan, by the way, is currently broadcasting. For those of you just listening, he's currently broadcasting from where January 6th was planned.
Do you know where that door? Do you know what's behind that door?
I assume just a bunch of your stepdad's toenail clippings and a shotgun.
Literally, if you want to actually know, though, if you won't want to be fucking dick, a lot of hockey cards. I forgot how many hockey cards I had, where I was like, I could literally be like, well, I'm moving out on my own, building a house of just hockey cards. They're the installation and also the house.
Why don't you just bulk sell them? Because here's the fun thing I've discovered about
I would never do
hockey
that.
Hockey.
Why the fuck would I sell? I thought about selling them, and you know what happened? My skin crawled.
Baseball, hockey, football, all the market.
CFL in there.
No.
There's a John Candy CFL card because he owned part of the Argos.
Do you have a
I
Kenny
got that
Pow
card.
Pow? Do you have Kenny Pow Pow?
I should buy a Kenny Powers card. I'm gonna
No,
decorate
not
my,
Kenny Powers. Kenny Pow Pow.
Oh,
He was the head coach of the Ottawa Renegades, and I believe also played for the
Gades.
Argonauts. That's right.
I probably have a
I
Kenny
am
Pow
from-
Pow actual card in there.
Oh, fuck yeah, you do. When like he was playing for, I believe, the Argonauts or maybe the Alouettes. For those of you who don't know what the
Ooh.
CFL is, in Canada, and I have no idea why, they play a version of American football that is supposedly more fast-paced, but there's literally a league that is enjoyed by just the people that live in Hamilton, Regina, and Winnipeg. All
it's
other cities
everywhere
with
but
teams,
Toronto because people in Toronto are like, if you want to know how Canada works, it's like everywhere else is high school in Canada, and Toronto's that kid who's like, I actually only hang out with people in college.
yeah,
That's
like
Toronto.
Toronto's the only Imagine a Canada is a family where everyone went to high school and then worked at the fucking gas station because you're not fucking better than me. And Toronto dared for a semester to go to an art school, and now the entire family is like this fucking uppity bitch just because it's got a fucking you got a fucking
It's true.
train that goes underground. You're not fucking better than me. You're not fucking better than me.
We have a fair amount of people from under the beautiful empire, the British Empire, which still hasn't faded in my eyes.
No,
if you're
Dylan, by the
Australian,
way,
answer in the
Dylan-
comments what cities like that in Australia is like.
I can
Melbourne?
100% tell you.
Okay,
It's
go
weird
for it.
because Australia is two. Australia is Melbourne and Sydney, and Melbourne thinks Sydney's a piece of shit, and Sydney is like, I don't care, man, I'm cool, and that's what it is.
That's
So
dope.
basically,
'Cause they
Melbourne
got
is
that opera house.
Melbourne is Montreal, but like minus the language dynamics, just the cheapness and absolute pleasure to live in. Sydney is the way cool, amazing city. Did you get excited when CM Punk came into AEW? Let's talk about wrestling. Did you get excited?
Yeah, of course, it was great.
I did not. Here's why, and here's the problem, and here's why
Personal
I hate.
relationships.
This is exactly it. Was because I didn't know that I was gonna be like, I'm a piece of shit. I'm gonna love this so much, even though I do a show with someone who may or may not always be pals with CM Punk.
Mm-hmm.
But I then like what it just made me feel like I don't like this anymore. Also, like I kind of am like, you're not a hero. You're not saving wrestling, guy. You got the money you wanted and you're back. If you had actually cared about the fans, you would have come back way sooner when people were clamoring for it. Like
There was no
My-
opportunity though.
Yes,
Like,
there
where's he
was.
gonna come
That's
back at, like,
absolute-
WWE
Come back
and-
in Ring of Honor. Come back in New Japan. People, no, that's not fair. What it was
Ring of Honor
he
you
wanted
can't
to
do
be
because
Spencer. Yes,
Ring
why?
of Honor is owned by Sinclair Broadcasting, which is like, yeah, the name is
No,
Ring of Honor
shut
is
up,
cool.
shut up, shut
But
up.
that'd be like
shut
if
up.
the fucking
Shut your fucking
Fox
mouth.
News bought the Pixies. Do you know what I mean? Where it's like,
I'm sorry. Newsflash. Tony Khan, the Khan family.
sorry, there was a news flash on my phone.
Yeah, exactly. Chris Jericho. All these people are not fucking big time moral boys. But then CM
Well, that
Punk.
plays
but
into what's happening now. Do you know the thing about the minorities?
oh
Was this something a guy with a mustache just said?
yeah,
The
there's
thing
nothing.
about the minorities.
Let me tell you how my life works, which is
Okay.
if anything happens in the world to do with anything but wrestling, no one lets me know. If
Mhm.
anything happens with wrestling, I get at minimum 5 DMs and 2 texts. When
This
the
is why it's
Ultimate
amazing
Warrior
to be a
died,
wrestling fan.
when the Ultimate Warrior died, 14 people called me to see if I was okay.
That's great.
1-4.
John, you lost another one of, as you put them, believers in your faith.
Yeah, you lost a quote unquote philosophical hero.
Well, it's just funny
But
what
that's what
people
exactly. But going
ingest
back to your
about-
point,
Go
going
for it.
back to your point of, he couldn't work for Ring of Honor because of Sinclair Broadcasting. He morally opposes them. Well, then he shouldn't work for the fucking Khan family or anywhere near Chris Jericho because fucking loser bitch, fucking melted butter chest Chris Jericho, fucking loser, bad wrestler, not
Yeah.
good for 10 years, not a good wrestler ever,
Whoa.
fucking perennial mid card. Fuck you. Hey,
Take
Chris
him.
Jericho, my name
Take
is
him out.
John Hastings. You're
I mean,
a
if he
fucking
pays for the
loser.
Patreon, he's gonna be pissed.
You're a loser,
Yeah.
bitch, fuck. And I do not like you. You are not my friend. You are no one's friend. Everyone thinks you're a little jerk loser. You're not revolutionizing the wrestling business, Chris. I don't understand. Me and Tony Khan are revolutionizing the rest. You're doing WCW just without Eric Bischoff and Vince Russo and Hulk Hogan. That's all you're doing. So everyone's like,
I would say
this is
he's
fun.
It's
It's a-
WCW, but
it's
he's
a
Rick
focus on
Rude.
wrestling for a wrestling show. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's Rick Rude now, dead, and I wish he was a little as quiet as Rick Rude. I
He's really
fucking
smart
hate-
though, because he does the
No, he's
thing
not.
that you should do when you believe terrifying things, which is just
Do
someone
not
like,
talk
hey,
about
do you
it."
believe this? Exactly.
Yeah, that's the thing with Chris Jericho. No, why was Donald Trump Jr. on your podcast? What's a podcast?
Like just
So
like
this is
right
my-
now we're living in, I mean, if you're in the comedy bubble, Patton Oswalt, whose entire internet persona is I quote tweet and destroy right wing things and like people who go against LGBTQ, plus
Mhm.
ideals, is just took basically what I think happened is got drunk, took a picture with Dave Chappelle, who's a longtime
No,
friend of his.
I know exactly what it was. It was he
Okay,
just
tell me.
he and Dave Chappelle started together. They were like
Yeah.
they've been friends for like 40 years. They were in the same town, and Dave Chappelle said, "Hey, come on, open for me." And Patton Oswalt isn't a regular person. Patton Oswalt is an incredibly famous person and has been incredibly famous for 20 years.
Mhm.
So doesn't live in the same world as you and I, and didn't realize that some people are like, "Hey, Dave Chappelle basically authorized a bunch of people to treat me like a piece of shit, so I'm not the biggest fan." Here's my thing with Dave Chappelle. I just don't think he's a very good comedian anymore, and I don't
Yeah.
understand why people think he's funny. Like, that's my main problem.
I think he's good, but there is something that happens where Dave Chappelle is what I called carrot top ripped, which is like
Exactly. I have the exact same
as soon as
theory.
you get jacked,
Yeah.
and you're a thin guy like Chappelle is, where it's like, why did you? It's kind of like if you were
I can
that
explain
dedicated
it.
to comedy.
I can explain it. I
Yeah,
can
because
explain
it's
it.
fun.
It's
to be
no,
fat.
what it is
And he likes to
these
cheat.
these muscles will protect me.
Mm-hmm.
Also, like, he's clearly just doing steroids.
which is dope.
That is cool, of course. Let's not be wrong. We're very pro steroids. Please check out the TikTok.
Micro dose steroids.
Not me. I macro dose.
I go fucking superstar Billy Graham.
Yeah, but it's also just going back to CM Punk and AEW. Like, I just don't care. Like, I don't care. I think he looks like a fucking old man cosplaying as Chael Sonnen. He's got terrible
He's got the thing
stubble.
that I have where it's like you grow that
Yes,
shit in, and it's like
Yeah.
you gray right here. So he's now shaving and whatever. But the thing about CM Punk is clearly it's a big win for them because he's a star, and it's also symbolic. Like it's symbolic. Like
Again, it's symbolic. I don't think he's as big as a star as anyone realized, and that is reflected very much in the ratings. Because what no one's talking about is a shitload of people are with me where they were like, CM Punk's back. This is gonna. Oh, I actually no.
it's still just
Bye.
wrestling. Like there's
Like,
no
it's-
one. They didn't have anyone for CM Punk where it's like even TNA the way TNA did it. Which sounds fucked up, but it's like there was a lot of people, myself included, who were like, "Why are they putting Kurt Angle against Samoa Joe right now?" Well, you do it for the splash, but then
Yeah.
the problem is you can't have CM Punk come in and lose to Hangman Page. Like
Which-
CM Punk comes out and then
No,
it's
okay,
great,
hang
and
on,
then
hang
CM
on,
Punk
hang on,
gives
hang
another
on.
address, and then you have another dude come out who's the face of the company and say, "This is my fucking place. I don't care. You've been away for." And instead, CM Punk was like, "Hey," he did that thing where it's like, "Hey, we're
Darby
a
Allin.
babyface, and I'm a
So-
babyface, but you're clearly gonna lose. But you're great." Where it's like it
This
just
is-
makes
but-
him seem like a bitch because the guy sits there and be like, "You know what I mean?"
So here's how you do it: is you immediately go with MJF, and you have CM Punk is the one chasing MJF. As MJF goes, "You don't deserve to be in a ring with me. You don't deserve to be in this ring at all. Get the fuck out of the ring, bitch." And
which he's doing now. Yeah.
which he's doing now, but it's too little too late because everyone also is going, "Oh, good, MJF gets to lose to someone else who has been a WWF champion." The main problem with AEW is always one of the problems with AEW, besides the fact they won't hire me to be championship kisser,
Oh, you
is
like that?
those matches where I just show people how good I am at kissing people on the cheeks, like other men. I just show them how good I am at doing the two cheek kiss. I'm like, here's what I do: is I do not let my lips leave the person's face, so I just go, and then I drag the lips over to
Ooh.
the other cheek. Yeah.
They call that
It is.
Sicilian kiss. The Sicilian
Yeah,
kiss,
yeah.
by the way, is where you kiss a guy on both cheeks and then hold his head close to yours and whisper about how attractive you think your cousins are in their ear until they literally go, "Oh, stop it, I quit," and then that's how you win the match.
That's exactly. And a Macedonian kiss, by the way, is where you just
oh yeah, that's where you're
just-
disgusting.
you fill your cheeks with lamb, and your cousin fills your cheeks with lamb, and you hit each other's cheeks until you throw up. It can take some time.
Yeah, my wife is Greek, Do not ever mention a Macedonian again on this show.
Yeah, no, of course. I'm so sorry. Yeah, yeah. By the way,
disgusting
this is,
Macedonians.
what I do enjoy so much about the people of Greece is I remember I was working at a coffee shop called Anton and James, now closed, by the
Ooh.
way. When I quit to pursue stand-up
Everything's closed.
comedy, I remember no, it closed before the pandemic, like it went out of business. And
Oh, so
I'm
they were
cool with
real losers.
big losers. Who goes out of business in 2019? You fucking cucks. Anyway, I remember it was owned by two brothers named Tony and Jimmy. One of them,
Nice.
by the way, I can't remember which one, had a series of girlfriends, all in their 30s, all adults with braces. That's a weird thing. Anyway, and I remember when Tony never learned my name, but I worked there for 2 years, and he found out I was leaving to pursue stand-up comedy, and he was like, if you ever need to come back, I'll get you a job. And I want to now run into him on the street and be like, fuck you, Tony, you bitch. Anyway.
You don't have a job.
Yeah. I once saw me and the manager of Anton and James, this guy Coco. We once watched the two brothers, Anthony and Jimmy, Tony and Jimmy, just get into a car. They both put on wraparound Oakleys, turned up into club, and then peeled out on Stanley Street in Montreal. And they were in it was not a car that should be a convertible. Like it was a Honda. Like it wasn't a. It wasn't a fucking.
Remember those
Bieber,
chainmail
bro.
things that would go on Facebook?
No.
Or whatever you would do on Facebook, you would go like, here are the top 5 moments of my career. People would be like, the top 5 albums that influenced me.
Yeah.
So there was like top 5 moments of the past year, and people were earnestly, answering them. And then this Greek dude who used to run a bar I did stand up at, wrote.
Which
He's like
bar?
top 5
Which bar?
moments.
Which
It was
bar?
in
Because-
Kensington. I forget the name.
I know exactly the fucking bar.
The really
you're
small
talking
one, right?
It was the really small one that was next to the hot box. That fucking tall,
Yeah.
stupid guy. That guy. Oh, what the fuck was that
That
bar
guy was
called?
great. Well, because
I got
anyway,
fucking-
his top
I'm
5
finding the
moments
name.
where he's like, everyone's like, top 5 moments? Probably the birth of my kid. And his top 5 moments were like, top 5 moment of the past year when I did your mom. Top 5 moment of the past month when I did your aunt. Top 5 moment. He just kept saying, and then it was like people just so angry in the comments, like, you're saying you did my aunt? And he's like, your aunt is my aunt. And he's like, what can I say? I get around. That was good. Anyway,
Oh my god, I want to fucking find that. Oh, I remember that place. That
you'll
place
never
was fu-
find it.
I will find it because Jeff McHenry did a set called All Jeff McHenry's Dirty Jokes, and it was
Ooh.
filmed there. Unless he took it down, which he might have, the little fuck. And if he did that, I'll be upset because
He may have. Jeff McHenry, very, very funny comedian. Also, if you told him his shadow was about to punch him, he would be bedridden for 4 days.
Jeff McHenry. This is gonna sound weird.
He's
What
in
the
there.
name of God? Ladies and gentlemen, I'm trying to find this information, and I just stumbled upon one of the craziest things ever. Carrot Top was just on the Joe Rogan Experience.
That's fucking amazing.
Oh my god!
I listened to that show
Everyone
again.
stop listening to this podcast and go
So
listen
wait a
to
minute.
that
Wait a
podcast
How
right
would you say?
now.
Would you say you just eat deer meat?
Yes, I do, Joe. Yes, I do.
Yeah. Here's my favorite question. So, Carrot Top, where do you come down on the vaccine? And if he doesn't take out some sort of ivermectin horse prop, I'm flying to Las Vegas and attacking him physically.
I think that he's really good.
I
There's
have
that
not
old
found-
thing. Do you know
I
that
have not
old
found
that old
this-
wives' tale where these two hacks these two guys were making fun of Carrot Top, calling him a hack, and then they like fucking getting wasted, whatever. And then Carrot Top was like, they went to pay for the bill, and they were like, oh, it's actually already taken care of because Carrot Top was on an adjacent table. And then Carrot Top stood up and went, hack comedy just paid for your dinner. And then I remember that because when I went to Humber, our stand-up teacher was called a hack by everyone because he was. And he was like, so that goes to show you hacks make a lot of money. And then everyone in our class made the same joke, which is like, I'm just going to start calling Carrot Top a hack near a house I like. Like, it doesn't prove anything to me. It just proves you're a
Yeah.
fucking idiot. Like, who cares?
Yeah, it proves that you're a sensitive little bitch.
Yeah, who cares? Live your life. Get booned.
I cannot find this clip of Jeff McHenry in this bar. Oh, it's
You
gonna
can't
drive me.
find a clip of a regional comedian doing a clip in an old bar? John, stop the show.
From 2009, by the way, is when this bar was. Oh, goddamn.
Oh, Jeff's on Letterkenny too sometimes. So if you know what Letterkenny is, then you'll know what
Yes,
Jeff is.
Jeff
but if you don't know what
McHenry-
Jeff, then it's done. Yeah.
I've seen one episode of Letterkenny. It was fine, but they had
There
one
you go,
thing that
get
is
'em.
so small town Canada, which is the fact that there's always one guy in a bar that drops his pants all the way to the ground to take a piss, which is so fucking niche. When I saw that, I was like, "Yep, that's fine. Yep, this is very good. I completely agree with that."
There was a comedian who made this great point where it's like Letterkenny, people say it's authentic, but it's like, but we know all those people and they just be racist. Like if you're
Yeah,
really to
this
write
is-
Letterkenny, it would just be like half the episode would be like trying to figure out what race the new guy in town is, and then the happy ending would be if he's Italian.
I remember being on a gig in a small town, and one of the comedians was a woman, and she bombed.
Mhm.
And I said to her, "You should not worry about that. They didn't laugh at you because they're a woman and we're in small town Canada. They just don't think that you could be funny." And the person that did not believe me until as we were walking out, I was told, "Take your where'd you get your jeans?" And I said, "Toronto." And they were like, "We'll go back there." And then
Good stuff.
four different women walked up to the female comedian and said, "I would have laughed, but you're a woman and women aren't funny." And she
Well,
then
What
apologized
What year was that?
to me. That was 2016.
You're making that up. That was
I'm 100%. I'm 100% not making that up. Oh,
Sorry,
Dylan's getting
my landline's ringing.
yeah. That's Dylan's about to get a report on his Y2K assurance.
The past
I'll
is
put it-
calling me.
I'm putting it in the private chat to show you how. I'm not using the person's name specifically because this person would find out, and then it would be a very annoying conversation.
They actually do subscribe to the Patreon. All of them do.
I don't want to have to speak to this person about this subject because they got very angry, even though I was definitely right and they admitted I was right. Look in the private chat.
So why don't you yell about AEW while I look on the private chat?
Here's my problem with AEW in general and specifically is that this is every episode of AEW being described. This sounds like the greatest wrestling program ever. And then you watch it and you're like, this is very boring and I hate Tony Schiavone so much.
Really?
Yeah, because if you
We're on
actually...
opposite ends. Have you watched Raw lately?
No.
Yeah, no
no.
one
I'm
will
not,
watch Raw.
I'm
I'm just saying that AEW is just wrestling. It's just NWA wrestling with indie wrestlers.
That's what I completely agree with you. It was like, and I'm totally fine with that. But I don't. But don't everyone because everyone's like, I was just watching AEW and then it cured my leukemia. And you're like, no, it didn't. It didn't. It's just fine. This is the main issue with wrestling at this point. It's just because it's not Vince McMahon's house of bad ideas. Everyone's like, well, problem solved. Revolution has been achieved. And it's like, this is also not that good. This is just fine.
It's
for
just-
good.
But that's how long it's been since stuff just was coherent. It's literally been like
It's been so long.
it had been 18 years since coherent programming was on wrestling, and they started making it coherent with the next generation, like Randy Orton, John Cena, and Batista. After Lesnar left, they were like, okay, we got to make a bunch of new guys, and they kind of did. But then
Yeah.
it was like it stopped being coherent because Triple H just wouldn't leave.
Yeah.
So it was
Why
like
would you leave?
Batista and Orton. Like people forget this, like because everyone like Orton's obviously like he's the last dude of those guys who wrestles regularly, so he's seen as like this big hero and everyone loves him now. But like if you look at Randy Orton's career, for years he just got jobbed out.
Loves him. Not everyone loves him.
I'm sure people who were his coworkers in 2005 have something to say. But
I'm gonna say people who are his coworkers this year because I guarantee there is no way that Randy Orton has learned from his mistakes. Here's something you could never accuse Randy Orton of: paying attention to his behavior.
I just think he's a 42-year-old man. He for sure just talks about how sick things were in 2005.
Oh, and also how the vaccine's bullshit. I am willing to
Yeah,
put.
dope. That's why I like him.
Of course, that's why I like him too. I've taken the vaccine, but I want people out there providing a dissenting voice. That's who I am.
Hey, man. Anti-vaxxers are a lot more fun to party with, I'll tell you that.
I'm gonna say this: anti-vaxxers and I really can agree on what areas of classic rock I want to listen to outside
It's
Mirror
true.
Lake.
It's true.
Yeah, like,
This is the problem with me and John is, like, obviously politically, we do lean left, but Spotify-wise, we're in MAGA, baby.
Oh my god! Like
Give me
we're
some
not,
nooge.
like we are like yeah. I'm a cultural Marxist on the streets, and I actually was the guy who said, let's call it Stop the Steal and let's hang Nancy Pelosi when it comes to music. Like you're
Yeah.
like
I was in there in a big fucking bull mask looking for Pelosi. That's how I am musically.
I today had to be told by a female who has seen me nude hey, could you turn down Iron Maiden before 8 a.m.? And I did, but inside I was going, I don't want to.
Oh yeah, I just listen to it. I have one AirPod in while I drive, and I listen to the fucking real tunes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Rainbow.
Oh, yeah, man. Temple of the King.
What were we talking about? Oh yeah.
Let me ask you this, Dylan.
And that's
When it
what
comes
makes
to
wrestling good, I think, and that's what wrestling's missing, and that's what wrestling will be missing. You know what? I think it's coming back now, and I think the WWE made a really good decision to start getting college people because it's been
No, they didn't. Shut
decade
the
and a
fuck up.
half. It's been a
Shut
decade
the
and a half of
fuck
the
up.
UFC. So now Vince McMahon, with his fucking gargoyle face, can go up to people and be like, "Okay, this guy, just got paid top end money in the UFC, mashing his body against another man, where he has to pay for his own training camp, every single thing. This guy's a subcontractor, just like he would be with us, but he pays for absolutely everything. They take all his merch money. They take everything. Top end. This guy got $500,000 as a base salary, and that is, and if he wins, he gets $1 million. That's top end, right? You come with us, we'll give you $300,000 to learn how to wrestle, and then
Yeah,
we'll have
but
a renegotiation, and you get your own merch.
What he's also not mentioning, by the way, is you might be Brock Lesnar, but you might also be Keith Lee, where everyone's like, I like this guy. This guy's good. And then one old man is going, here's the problem. He's fat. And I hate it.
Yeah,
Kill
but you
him.
still get $250,000 to be called
Sure.
fat,
But that's all you're going to get. Like, the problem is,
which is fine.
like, it's not that fine. He has to live the rest of his 80 years
But
on the
these
planet.
are your options. These are your options
I
if
agree
you
with
are
you.
a collegiate wrestler, is that you either teach other people how to wrestle, like it's improv.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You either join Dana White's Mad TV, which is the UFC, or Vince McMahon's SNL, which is the
Mhm.
WWE.
But this is the thing where it's like, and if you shit out and you're 20, you're Braun Breaker, let's say he fucking shits out and
Yeah.
he decides, okay, well, I want to do something else, and he wants to be in the UFC, you're 26. Enjoy.
Also, do you know this
And you're a
is
heavyweight,
random-
which heavyweights in the UFC fight till they're like 45. I'm not saying UFC and WWE are the two options. You could also be like a normal person and just kind of contribute to society. You could work
Yeah,
in
you
a
could just be an
hospital.
accountant. You could be an accountant who just was a collegiate wrestler.
Yeah, and you could easily real estate. You know, you're semi-famous in the
You
community.
could be
Go for
comedian,
it. Use
you
it.
can be comedian Jay Moore, who just talks about amateur wrestling like it's a sport everyone's into, and it's very bizarre when he doesn't. Which is what, by the way, I've spent a fair amount of time with Jay Moore. I would consider him not a close friend. I'd consider him a friend. But I tell you, that guy, when it just random subject chatting in a hallway before you're both going up to do some comedy, never subjects that I would think, well, everyone has an opinion on this.
That's really good stuff.
Yeah. Talking about massages and amateur wrestlers.
I like that.
Yeah.
He gets
it's
rubbed, he gets tugged, and then he has an amateur wrestling match.
exactly right. Rub, tug, and then it's time for a massage.
An RT. By the way, there's a rub and tug in Ottawa called the Alpha Club. So we're officially
I opened
sponsored
it.
by that.
It was named after me.
I feel like an alpha. I just paid for sex.
I remember speaking to a friend of mine who later who was at the time into law enforcement. I was like, "Did you find out any secrets about Ottawa?" He didn't live in Ottawa, but it was like that thing, and he was like, "Yeah, man, there are way more sex clubs there than I even thought." And it's like it's a noted hilarious thing about Ottawa is that, like, what's that weird doorway in the middle of a neighborhood? Definitely a sex club. And then the idea that he was like, there's more than even I could imagine is so funny to me. That's something I think about all the time. There's many
That was
things
one
I
of the
think
most.
about.
That was one of the most fun days in Edinburgh, where we were having coffee, just about to do. I think it was before my
Oh.
show, and Cole Cabana was standing in front of clearly a rub and tug's door, and people would go in. He'd be like, "Gross, it's 3 p.m. Gross, it's 3 p.m." And they were
remember
just
that.
like, and it's like such a great thing we used to do in high school, where they just do the math and they're like, "Oh, this guy's too big to."
Of course.
You can't punch. Although I would be dodging that fist. Like clearly, this man has primed himself for a mess. You know what I mean?
I mean, my favorite.
I
thing
just took
about
my
doing
ditch. Now you touch my dick. You know what I mean?
And my favorite thing about doing a show with Cole Cabana is he doesn't know how to like deal with hecklers with humor. He just stands up and says, "Leave."
Shut up.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's very funny because you're like, that's as effective as the thing it took me 10 years how to learn to do.
Hey,
and you
stop it.
just, yeah. How about not? Also,
I
do you
remember one time
that-
someone was like, "Look at this guy's like calves, though." And I was like, look at your calves, you fucking pussy. You can't bench shit.
Yeah.
You what goes good after chest? Chest.
Let me ask you this.
You know what my favorite game is? Chess. You know what I mean?
Were you with us when Brendan?
My brother-in-law does chess 6 times a week. I couldn't be prouder of him.
That's of course you do chest every day.
You do
What do you-
chest, and then you warm up chest with a bit of chest.
Bicep, and then nothing else.
You do this, and then you do?
Nothing
You
else.
fuck.
I'm-
You fuck.
Yeah, of course. Why wouldn't you? Because there's a line of ladies out the door because they've heard you have a well-defined chest and arms.
Because you got the fucking chest, baby.
Excuse me. Do you have the healthy for a straight man 35 and up? What does that mean? That means I have done chest and arms only for the last 10 years. But
this is
my
the problem
gut
with Joe
is
Rogan.
noticeable.
Is before the vaccine when he just talked about chest and arms, and then a bit of sometimes he was like, "I think Sasquatch real." It was great.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, this is
Now he's
I
like,
was-
actually, I'm an epidemiologist, which is evidenced by my back tattoo that is Gothic letters of, you guessed it, my last name.
here's what Joe Rogan's problem is I've thought about this a lot because he was ubiquitous
You do
here
think
for a
about
while.
this a lot.
He was just a famous person for 30 years, but then he became famous to famous people, which is the worst level of so he literally
Yeah.
is like a super god. Like no one is gonna like there's no one
You what he
his
was? He was
actual life.
CM Punk famous for a long
Yes.
time, and then you make that leap into like people outside of your weird bubble are looking at you,
Mhm.
where it's like Taekwondo man who became a stand-up comedian in the 90s, then went to UFC, where it's like basically he minored in misogyny at a college, and then he took misogyny in university, and then he
University.
went for a PhD course.
So basically what it is Joe Rogan, when he was born, he was like, here's what I want to do. I want to get jobs that are very weirdly decade specific. And they were like, very good. And he's like, so in the 70s, I'm going to be a fucking Caucasian boy who is real into martial arts. You've nailed it. 80s, stand-up comedian. Why wouldn't you be? 90s, I'm going to star in a sitcom and also explicably be a commentator for cage fighting. That is the 90s. That makes sense. What happens in the 2000s? Oh, I'm going to host a television show where people eat animal dicks, and also I'm going to call out one person joke stealing and act like it's the same as 9/11 in terms of outrage. Yep, that's exactly what the aughts were.
He
And
was
what
right
happened-
about that.
100%. He was right about that. But the way he acts about Carlos Mencia now is so like, and by the way, Carlos Mencia was a fucking plague. Like I know people that were around there and they're like, like everyone who was a comedian then, they were like, our careers were stalled. Like Carlos Mencia is a sociopathic fucking
Yeah, he made a mosaic
asshole.
of people's jokes, and then
Yeah.
just, of course, if you're plucking things from other people, you're gonna be fucking amazing.
The craziest thing that no one talks about is what he used to do is people that he would hear talk bad about him. He would see, because so what happens in the LA area is improvs and some of the clubs that are in the suburbs will have a comic come out and do like a night, if they're not famous, the weekend of a famous person, so that they can like try them out. They're giving other work, and then you'd open the rest of the week. But like that one day is so huge to you because you're in this like big room. It feels really cool. It's a way for you to showcase for the improvs. What Carlos Mencia would do was check the calendar, and if he didn't like any of those people, he would show up as they're about to go on, tell the manager he's going on, and then would do 2 hours, and then try and get them to follow him. And he would do that for like so many people have that story.
That's crazy.
And what's amazing is Joe Rogan so did that, and that like all ended, and that's amazing. Then in the 2010s, he just had a podcast, and then in the most 2016 thing, he just was taken advantage of by a bunch of right-wing grifters, and thus launched the next 5 years of his podcast, which is conversely him having fun comedians on to just talk about I don't know what the fuck because I can't really listen to it anymore because no one's listening to each other on that show, or he just has literally the weirdest, wildest scientists or failed stand-up comedians who have gone on to be right-wing commentators. Never forget, Steven Crowder and I used to do comedy together in Montreal. Never forget that.
Really?
Yes. I think about it a lot. It's
He
very
buried you,
weird.
didn't
No, he did not. He had a very weird joke about being the voice, being one of the voices from Arthur, but he always acted like people would recognize him from that, but it was a cartoon. That was the main thing I took away from him, and that's it.
The guy who made Vice was also he's super right wing, right? Gavin McGinnis.
Yeah, Gavin McInnes,
That was a
absolutely.
proud
Also,
boy.
also a failed stand-up comedian. Also, Milo Yiannopoulos used to do
Man.
stand-up. Used to do stand. Oh no, I have a big thing. The one of the if it weren't for stand-up comedy, I think a lot of these people wouldn't have thought show business was possible. Because here's the problem with stand-up: is when you see some of the people that are succeeding at it, you're like, well, anyone can do this. And then when people
Yeah.
can't, they're like, it crushes their fucking minds. We're like, that guy doesn't have a home, and I saw him shit an unchewed muffin. What do you mean he's going to the Just for Laughs festival? And it's like, guy can do 5, baby.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing where we used to say, oh, that guy's going to shoot up a bar one day. And then apparently it's like that guy's going to create a blog and really put a lot of effort into it that has some really weird viewpoints.
Yeah, that guy. It went from like, oh man, that guy's gonna shoot up to a school, to now it's like, oh shit, that guy's gonna start a Substack and a Patreon and really cause some
That guy's going to be
issues.
us. So, all right. So we're going to talk about a couple issues in wrestling right now. John, I think, has a lot of views on these, and they are, let's just say, a bit salty. But
Go ahead.
so what do you think about the Big Swole thing? Have you heard about this? Do you know what I'm
I
talking about?
I literally only read it because 4 people messaged me going, did you see what Tony Khan said? So what I've been told via Facebook and Instagram DMs is someone was like, hey, AEW, maybe have some black people involved in your goddamn company. And Tony Khan was like, I'm involved. Shut the fuck up, you suck, black boy. Is that basically what happened?
So here's what happened. Big
Go ahead.
Swole, who was a, I guess one of the original women in the AEW women's division. AEW has taken a lot of
yeah.
flack for their women's division because obviously
Because they
said-
really sold that was going to be a part of it. Like they were
They
like,
did.
we're going to be tag teams and women. Where are the women? I think you'll find Brandy Rhodes is backstage sometimes.
she got pregnant. So in honor of that, she's going to pin a new woman every single
Yeah,
week.
of course. Yeah.
Because it's a handicap match. Get it? She's a baby. So here's what happened.
Go ahead.
Big Swole gets let go from AEW, which isn't something they do a lot. Like the only other person I can think of that they let go was Jimmy Havoc, and Jimmy Havoc was one of the people who got Me Too'd.
Yeah, it was
Which basically they were like, but to be real, like the reason they got rid of him probably wasn't because of that. The reason they got rid of him was because he was a lower card guy anyway, and he was a hardcore wrestler, and they kind of figured out like, okay, cool, this guy had indie cred, but sometimes it's what Kevin Nash says, and most of the times it isn't. But sometimes you put a guy on a bigger stage, and it's like, oh, this guy's like the king of a bar. But once you get him into an arena, he can't really command that. Him and Joey Janela have kind of bore that out, I think.
Yeah, him, Joey Janela, Necro Butcher was always my favorite example of that. Of like,
Necro Butcher never got a chance, and I think that Necro Butcher would have done well because Joey Janela is kind of like, I'm Shawn Michaels, but I'll jump off something on the light tubes, whereas Necro Butcher literally would go barefoot and step on tacks and no sell it just because like this man's fucking crazy.
I like that. I like that. What I like about the Necro Butcher is the time.
His name, everything. Like he was the
also-
Wyatt family before the Wyatt family.
He would also send in questions to kayfabe commentaries U-shoots, and I always thought that was funny because you could tell which wrestlers knew who he was and which wrestlers didn't. For example, Shane Douglas greeted him like he was an old friend. Necro, how's it going, man? And I was just like, Shane, you're just friends with people that'll talk to you.
Yeah, Shane Douglas is totally the guy who's like, who wants to stay too late because they got free snacks here.
Yeah. Who wants to hang out in your room because I didn't actually book one?
They're kicking us out of here, but I saw they were trying to throw away coffee down the hall, which I totally did that at the last stand-up show. They tried to throw away all these cakes.
Oh, those are coming with you. Oh, of course.
Starbucks cakes?
Yeah.
Not on my watch.
Yeah,
Anyway.
those are being given to my family and friends as if I baked them at home.
So Big Swole, they get rid of Big Swole, who like in a company
Is
that's
anyone-
already...
Is anyone else confused every time he says gets rid of Big Swole? Because I assume he's just talking about me.
Big Swole comes out, and the thing was, she looked like she was going to be a real going concern until like Britt Baker became the runaway babyface in their women's division that actually they book as a heel for some reason.
Yeah, it's very bizarre.
Yeah, like you get one girl over who's like clearly the face of the division, where it's like, oh, she's basically a heel, but they can book her as a babyface. She could be like, it's overused, but she could be like kind of like Austin was in that way, where it's like you're a heel, but you're a babyface specifically, and also more like Austin, I would say, with like she's the only reason to watch that programming.
Yes, and also
Or
more
like
off the
if you
sheet.
watch old 98 episodes of Raw, people undersell this, but literally the show would open with Vince McMahon's trying to keep Stone Cold Steve Austin out of the arena, but we are definitely going to see him tonight. And then every major break, like half hour, 1 hour, an hour and a half into the show, it would be people like, oh, we're trying to keep him out, but he's at the gates. And you would just see his car and you'd be like, oh shit, we're going to see him. Like it's,
Well, no, mainly what they would always do, if you actually remember it, it was actually done specifically to really fuck Nitro, is because they had 2 shows. Because it was Raw and then it was the War Zone for the longest time. And then
Yeah.
after 9/11, they changed it to the Raw Zone. And then they were like, that sounds like it's just a time where people are fucking without a condom.
yeah.
Let's just call it Raw and just do it for 2 hours. Anyway, when it was what they would do is Austin's being kept out of the building, and then 30 minutes in, you'd see his car, and then as soon as the War Zone hit, they'd do that. What you do in your eye? Welcome back.
Yeah,
Welcome
like-
everyone. And then and then it would come out top of the hour. Also,
Yo,
I don't think you'll find a better impression of the beginning of WWE programming in the Attitude Era than what I just did right there. That's exactly what.
guy
What
coughing
do
hard.
these about in your eye? That's Jim Ross, by the way. And then there's
Yeah.
so much screaming and pyro for no reason. Steve Austin walks out, says, "Hell yeah!" That is a full hour, ladies and gentlemen. The Attitude Era. Do not look back on it.
It's also good. Yeah, exactly. It's also good with like, oh, the most respected wrestling announcer there are. And then you can just pull up so many clips of him and be like, she's getting beat because she deserves it.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can pull up so many podcast interviews where he's like, "Now, would you talk slower and wear a shirt that is wet?"
That was his first podcast, was just him being like, we got Victoria on the program. Tell you this, I am hard, even though I can't see you, Victoria.
Well, Lita's on the program. I just want to let Lita know I am wearing a thong as well.
Yeah, I think, and anytime AEW talent, like a women's talent takes like a photo, like of them in a bikini or something, he quote retweets it and then just does the emoji that's just eyes going like this, which is good.
Oh yeah.
And then all the comments on underneath. One guy had a really good comment, which was like, "Open Twitter, check. JR horny on main feed, check." Main feed
Oh,
is
yeah.
such a good thing because he's not. It's not a reply buddy. He's quote tweeting this and he wants you to see it. He's not tagging anyone in it because that would mean that it would be hidden. He wants this to get looks.
he wants people to know JR is thirsty and he's looking for a cup.
I got a cup. Pour me a drink.
Yeah,
what you can't-
Jimmy. That's what
He's in
Jim
there
Ross
too.
Jim Ross wants. Anytime he does a quote retweet of just an AEW female wrestler in a bikini, he wants everyone to react like they're Harry Hill in the shower hearing about the Lufthansa heist. Just
So, all right, Big Swole gets fired. Then Big Swole says AEW doesn't know how to book minority talent. They don't know. But more so, it was honestly about the women's division, how they don't give the women's division a chance,
Yeah.
which everyone's always said. And then that was posted on, I think, Fightful. Tony Khan quote retweets it and goes, "We fired her because she was a bad wrestler. Watch the street fight tonight," which there was a tag team street fight between Allie, Penelope Ford, Tay Conti, and Anna Jay, which was a good street fight. Anyway, and yeah, and then Leo Rush tweets out apologize in all caps, and
to Big Swole or to Tony Khan.
to Tony Khan, and
Good.
then backs that train up when he's like, actually, I like working here. It's just like shitty to see people like Tony Khan hasn't said anything, but I guarantee there was some like emails sent where he's like, actually, you know, where I'm from makes it okay that I do this or something. So of course I can't be because it's very weird, and like obviously 2 white dudes aren't going to get to the bottom of this, but it's just like
I
something
disagree. I think
something
the
to keep an
perfect
eye
people to
on,
solve
where it's
this.
like, actually, you know, I am a
Here's what it
person of
is.
color who was born out of a $1 billion butthole, and I've never picked up food myself because I find that disgusting. So
Yeah.
I have Horatio do that for me, where he chews it too, because I feel like I don't want to waste my teeth. Like my teeth will erode if I chew food. So
Yeah.
I have someone spit that into my mouth.
My name is Tony Khan. I said to my dad one day I would like to have a wrestling company, and my dad said, "Okay,
But
I know what it is to suffer. I know,
but
what
it is
to
interesting.
suffer."
Well, you know how AEW kind of came up was basically like he was talking to a dude from TNT, Tony Khan was. And
I didn't know this at all.
they were talking about wrestling. And then Tony Khan was like, well, you used to have Vince McMahon's major opposition like on your network. And he went, what? He's like, yeah, like you guys have had wrestling on Turner forever.
Yeah, you were the
And
you
then,
were the Turner Broadcasting was built on. It's like the biggest joke.
TV was built on professional wrestling.
Yeah,
It's cheap
TV was-
entertainment that pays for
but-
itself.
But Turner Broadcasting in particular, and Ted
Mhm.
Turner, like from his mouth, is what was the key to Turner Broadcasting success? And he's like, it's two things: Andy Griffith show reruns, professional wrestling.
Well, yeah, all TBS really has ever been and will ever be is Atlanta Braves, the Warner Brothers Library, pro wrestling.
And Conan. TBS
Conan,
is
yeah.
Conan. Like it's also that thing of
Conan,
they
well, the
were.
big problem with Conan was his target audience is us, and as his audience grew up and became more sedentary and stopped going out, we just started watching the internet, which is bad for him.
Yeah, it's very bad for him. It's also his mind was melted by losing the Tonight Show, and his show was not good for about 4 years. Like I don't want like I love Conan O'Brien. He was one of the biggest influences, one of the biggest reasons I'm in comedy. His TBS show, like it was one of those things where I was watching a guy who got a fucking big L and didn't give himself a minute to be like, that really fucking sucked. He was just like, it's fine, I'll just keep doing my show. And you could just see him being like you wanted to be like, you could just, especially like 2 years in where he's just dead behind. Welcome to the show. I want to taste metal in my mouth. I'm Conan O'Brien.
Yeah, but anyway, so that's basically the issue. And then like Powerhouse Hobbs came out and was like, I talked to Tony Khan. I've never felt whatever. But like you can see just through statistics where it's like they have obviously there's more opportunities too because they had SmackDown and Raw going for so long.
Mm-hmm.
But you can see just through numbers where it's like the people that have closed out the most Dynamites and the most Rampages in AEW, and there's literally not one person. There's a bunch of like Samu Guevara's done it. Like there's a bunch of Latin guys, but there's no black people that have ever closed out an AEW event. Full stop.
Yeah, I can't think of like
And a wrestler, not one wrestler.
But I also can't think of a black person who's being pushed as a main event or even an attraction in AEW in the moment. I'm not
No,
that
not at all,
familiar
no.
with the product,
Meanwhile,
so,
WWE, like their champ is Bobby Lashley and Big E flipped the belt back and forth. They've been pushing Big E. Obviously, Brock Lesnar beat Big E for the title recently, which I mean, for me, a white guy with a man bun who literally gave an ESPN interview is like, don't like gay guys, so don't ask, and then peeled out at an ATV. That literally will set you back 50 years.
any other industry,
ESPN the magazine. I can't find the article, but that's literally something that we talked about it in the Brock Lesnar.
We have
episode.
found it, but we also found. I remember we found it for the Brock Lesnar episode because I didn't believe you. We were in your old room in Streatham in London, and you brought it up, and I read it like either before or after the podcast. And what I remember the most about it is a big portion is the interviewer explaining that Brock Lesnar kept having to find his wife because there was some sort of need for a phone call, and he doesn't allow phones. She has a cell phone that he will sometimes be like, but doesn't always like. He doesn't like that she uses it on his property, which I'm always like, yeah, Rena Mero is very much trapped, isn't she?
Yeah, man. Lesnar's gotten away with a lot of stuff just because, like what we said about Jericho, he doesn't participate in social media, so he's kind of like, I'm not even part of that game, so like, don't even try anything. Like if I've said off-color things, then that's one thing. Obviously,
I guarantee he's looked at Paul Heyman and called Paul Heyman the N-word because he thinks that is a word for Jewish people. Like Brock Lesnar is he is the most intense backwards, which is he is backwards from Minnesota, which means he's Canadian backwards, which means watch the fuck out.
He's officially Canadian now.
Because I can't figure it out if he actually lives in Saskatchewan or he
does.
lives. Is that so? He just lives in the middle of fucking nowhere.
Yes,
I mean that's got to be wild.
but that's the thing that makes me like him.
I agree with him. I was talking today about what financially needs to be done so I can move to a small weird town in either Nevada, Arizona, or Northern California.
Oh god, that's the life, eh?
Oh boy. By the way, Nevada or Arizona, very achievable. Like this is the one thing that no one talks about with America is that America is one of those places where like, Oh, people have gotten so burnt out. So there are like weird, artsy, bizarre communities that you can find and join and be a part of. You just have to track them down.
Yeah, America's a lot easier to do that with Canada, where it's like, I'm going to live in a rural place. Also, a related thing, I do a podcast about how people don't get it from my basement under a blanket now.
Yeah.
That's
Also,
my
a couple of
creative outlet.
here's how you know. By the way, I love because right now Canada's in a much stricter lockdown than almost anywhere else. Australia
Yeah.
also went through this, and what I like about it is you can really tell where people are in their lockdown. So Dylan, just social media is the same. A bunch of other people have really hit the I'm really fed up and I'm about to tell you the truth level. And a couple of them I'm like, yeah, this is coming for some time, and I'm glad to see you are nailing it, my friend. And my personal favorite, people really making it about them. That's my personal favorite now. It's just how much people in Canada are making this solely about them, which is the most Canadian move. Like Canadians of all white people are the most like, you want to know how 9/11 personally affected me?
I wasn't in the towers, but emotionally I was.
I was supposed to watch the contest episode of Seinfeld, which was rerunning that day, and it was preempted because of the news.
So anyway, all right. What's another fucking goddamn thing? But that's the big thing right now. I don't think anything will ever happen.
Nothing will ever happen of it. Do you think WWE sells this year? By the way, big rumor: Vince McMahon's house up for sale.
Ooh. Well, I mean, he probably has many houses, so that's like.
I think I didn't. As I understood the tweet, it was his main mansion in Stanford. Like moves are being made.
Okay,
apparently.
well then here's my question though. I don't want to say if they sell. Why? What is Vince McMahon doing after he sells WWE?
Dying.
Dude, there's this man clearly, with the amount of plastic surgery he gets, does not believe in his own mortality. What is his plan afterwards?
I honestly don't know. I think there's something that they are aware of, business-wise, market-wise, something that is making them get ready for a sale. There is information that we are publicly not aware of that is driving this decision. That is my whole opinion on it. There is something.
I think they've been
we're
getting lean and
missing.
mean to be kind of eaten up by a bigger conglomerate, because this is why things like this and weird little things like this.
But this is exactly what they're doing. This is exactly how you prepare for that. That's exactly what he's doing.
Here's my
preparing for that.
question.
Go ahead.
How much better does WWE become if Disney buys it? Because I think it's going to get quite a lot better. Disney bought Marvel.
depends.
Everyone loves Marvel. Disney bought Star Wars.
No one
People
likes
love The
Star Wars.
Mandalorian, and
People
they
like
have
The
a lot of
Mandalorian.
cohesive storylines within that. I think WWE gets a lot better if Disney buys it. And everyone
It
has to
does.
drop their like, oh, I actually support AEW because it's blah, 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 blah. It's like, no, you're going to support Mr. Nazi lover Disney himself.
Yeah, what it is you will. First of all, he didn't love the Nazis. He just hated the Jews. Let's be clear. Please be
Okay,
clear.
thank you.
Henry Ford loved the Nazis. Walt Disney just hated the Jews.
I didn't know Henry Ford produced a newsletter that Hitler used to read. every day.
Oh my God! Yes, he did.
Basically,
He
it was
also
called "Jews Equal Bad?" Question mark. Answer. Yep.
He also had a photo of Hitler on his desk until the day he died. And when asked
Oh,
about
wow.
it, he would not respond.
His response was, "Good-looking guy."
Also, you want to know something? What? By the way, the Prime Minister of India, who does he consider one of the best business motivators of all time?
I'm gonna say Hitler.
It was Hitler. You are correct. It's Hitler.
It'd be weird if you went left and you were like, Justin
Yeah,
Trudeau.
Henry Ford.
Hey man, a lot history has taught us anything. Just because you're good at making a thing go vroom vroom doesn't mean we should believe what you think.
Yeah, I mean, you know what's interesting is I wish that lesson would be learned with Elon Musk. I loved, by the way, yesterday when he opened a fucking showroom of Tesla in like, what is Shangji? Is that where it is? Where the Uyghurs are? Is that where they're
You're
like?
speaking. I have no idea.
Oh yeah, sorry, you're raising a child. I'll explain to you. Yesterday, because every day, especially in California, because all of the state of California is like, hey, Elon Musk, fuck you. Because Elon Musk in the middle of all the pandemic would be in like, because he was a giant job provider in California, just moved to Texas one day, and like all of his California employees were like, what? No. And like the state had to intercede and was like, you didn't give proper enough time. You can't do that. You have to let them work remotely. It's a pandemic. And he was like, I'll sue you. And then the state of California was like, okay, like, you know that that's us too. We're the courts. Like, please, we would love if you sued us. And so, like, his perception anywhere else is so different than within California, because everyone here is like, fuck this fucking
I think everyone's
cunt.
pretty much like that.
No, but like our newspapers reporting of like this motherfucker's not like, it's like tax information, all that sort of stuff. Anyway, he opened up a showroom in the province where China is genociding the Uyghur population. I think it's Shanxi. I think that's where it is. And like a bunch of people were like, I can't believe Elon Musk would do this. Like I can feel like, I'm like, yeah, he's a business person. You thought just because he's talks about Bitcoin and uses Twitter, you didn't think that he wasn't like, just because he smokes weed with Joe Rogan
Who
doesn't mean he's
doesn't
also an
believe
awful
that?
man.
He's
so many
directly
people.
profited from the apartheid.
Yeah,
The reason
exactly.
Tesla's a thing is because of the apartheid.
Yeah, his family owned a bunch of emerald mines during the
Yeah.
apartheid. Yeah, no, I know. I know because someone said to me, why do you hate Elon Musk? And at the time it was just like, because of his stupid head. And then it's the only time I was like, I'll tell you why. And then I just Googled it and I was like, and I literally, like, first sentence, I was like, apartheid money. And then it was like, oh, you're like, that's right.
Yeah, if you can't tell smug, then I can't help you. Like, you can tell when people are super smug. Tony Khan is very weird because he's a billionaire and he's clearly like grew up inside. Like, weirdly, I think he had a lot of the same childhood that we did. It's
Yeah.
just that when he's like, here's how I would make wrestling, he could do that.
Yeah, he and I probably were both. I used to like make up wrestling storylines when I was 11, 12,
Yeah.
33, 36. And the only difference is this, that like at a certain point he walked into his dad's office and was like, "Can I start a wrestling company?" And he was like, "Yeah." Like the fact that the AEW,
I should say this. It
origin story-
wasn't like that. It was literally like these guys didn't know that wrestling is super profitable and easy to produce because we cover our own production. And then he met Cody Rhodes, Young Bucks, and then they made that shit happen. Basically, Cody Rhodes and Young Bucks used that MSG show as proof of concept to then talk to Tony Khan. They came together.
It was no, they used All In. All In was the proof of concept, not the MSG show.
Yeah. But MSG show and then All In.
I thought it was All In then MSG show. I thought that's how it
No,
went.
because the Ring of Honor, it was literally co-promoted. It was like the Young Bucks and Cody Rhodes co-promoting with.
I'm aware with you, but I'm saying that All In was first, and then it was the MSG show, because the MSG show suddenly went from having like all of the guys that were in All In to like, oh no, they're like leaving our Ring of Honor to prepare for something, and then it was a bunch of New Japan guys who were at the Ring of. I could be wrong, but that's how I remember it. And I would like you to confirm that I'm correct, and then I would like you to apologize, and I would also like you to then say that I am now.
Oh,
the
it's
father
the
of
same
your
show.
What are you talking? Oh, so All In, because All In was
All
in
In was
Chicago.
an independent pay-per-view co-promoted with
Chicago.
Ring of Honor and New
Okay.
Japan.
And that's that, and then the MSG show that took place, that was
And it
later.
was at the Sears Center.
Yeah, that was in Chicago. Everyone knows
Yeah,
All In was in
because
Chicago.
it was the whole Dave Meltzer was like, no independent show
No
could fill a
show
10,000
could fill
seat
a
arena,
10,000
and they
seat
just
arena.
said bet,
And
and they
then-
sold out immediately.
Yeah, that was, again, by the way, that's the Cody that should come back, as opposed to Triple H, Cena, Captain America that he currently is now. But you've nailed it completely. I don't know if you said that here or on this show or
There's
on the
other
Mountie
interests,
episode.
like that's the thing about like that you learn as you get older watching wrestling, and obviously the average wrestling fan's fucking old as dirt now, so we all probably know is that like there's other
also-
interests at play.
We're also
you can't
in
just
show
make
business,
a guy. Yeah,
and it's
the
going.
Britt Baker thing doesn't make any sense to me. That
What do you
doesn't make
mean?
any sense. Like having Britt Baker be a heel makes no sense to me.
I don't
um,
understand it either,
because
she's
it's
such
way easier to get a heel now to make a good heel than a babyface.
I
So
also
Britt Baker
don't
as a
know
babyface would be amazing.
why the fuck Adam Cole's a bad guy is the other one, because literally you listen to his entrance and everyone goes like, the crowd goes crazy for him, and then it's like, all right, I guess we gotta boo him again. Like,
Yeah.
like they just want, like, everyone wants to just yell baby, everyone wants to go boom. It's very fun. I want to go boom, Dylan. I want to go boom.
Yeah, this is what I don't understand, where it's like obviously not in the same way that they were, but you could make Adam Cole and Britt Baker, since they are a couple, you could make them the much better version of Chris Candido and Tammy Sitch. Where it's kind of like
I don't know.
the
I
Bonnie
thought
and Clyde.
I
where it's
thought the
like-
relationship between Tammy Sitch and Chris Candido was
That was pretty solid.
perfect.
Yeah,
So
it was
healthy.
actually
It
they were
was-
both in a really good place now.
Yeah, of course they were.
We're
They were
in
so
a-
healthy mentally.
Yeah, one of them's dead in the head, and the other one's dead in IRL. But all right, it's been an hour now, so we're gonna stop.
All right, everybody, go to our things. Thanks for supporting our Patreon. We'll see you on the main feed. Where
Yeah,
we're
I'm gonna
talking-
put up the talking started about 30. Like if you want to hear about wrestling, and that starts 37 minutes in.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's like every other episode. Ladies and gentlemen, have a great time. I'm going to go lay in my bed for the first time in 4 months.
Yeah, this will be up sometime.
Fuck you.
Fuck shit fuck.